accident. Isn't that cool? So anyway, I dug this out of my files, and so I'm going to tell you what some of these responses have been in the insurance industry. Are we ready for them? Coming home, I drove into the wrong house and collided with a tree I don't have. These are actual responses. Do we want to, Stella said, don't ever ask. Do we want to do more? Yeah. I've got a few of them. The guy was all over the road. I had to swerve a number of times before I hit him. In my attempt to kill a fly, I drove into the telephone pole. I had been driving for 40 years when I fell asleep at the wheel and had the accident. To avoid hitting the bumper of the car in front of me, I hit the pedestrian. The indirect cause of the accident was a little guy in a small car with a big mouth. Oh my God. Oh my God. I did hit a car once. Anyway, the telephone, here's a neat one. The telephone pole was approaching. I was attempting to swerve out of its way when it struck my front end. And last but not least, I pulled away from the side of the road, glanced at my mother-in-law, and headed over the embankment. We follow illusion and false perceptions all the time. And I'm not getting into politics, but you can, watch CNN and you'll see it. But anyway, what is the baseline? I've decided not to say bottom line anymore. I'm getting tired of it. So the baseline. The baseline is that we are this created, we are the metaphysical Trinity, the Father, Son, and the Holy Ghost. That's who we are. That's our operating procedure. That's our spirituality. That's our creative process. That's what it is. And so we've got to be very careful what we're putting in mind, don't we? Because we're responsible. I have to take full authority. Angelo, you've got to take full authority to what you're experiencing. But that's what you are. You are a walking creativity. That's what you are. And so you can't complain to someone else about what you're experiencing. You're bringing it in. I really believe that firmly now. So anyway, to go on with this, I'm driving down the road from Deadwood. I stopped at the light. This was about 2 or 3 days ago, and I hadn't noticed the sign before. Hadn't noticed it before. What are we putting in mind? I stopped at the light there. Look, glance over to the right where the abandoned Mexican restaurant is, right there at the light. And there in the side of the building is this huge sign. How many of you have seen the sign? Well, I'm going to talk about it a little bit. The sign says this. It showed that it was from the Madera County, it's a Madera County office, which is that takes care of problems that happen. In fact, I wrote it down here, and I'm putting it. The Madera County, I was on that committee for so many years. It was a committee that deals with emergencies that happen in the county, and it's a county in Madera. So anyway, what it said was, now listen to this. It says in bold prints. It says, "Look out." Okay, that's fine. "Get out." Okay, that's good. Look out, get out. Emergency Preparedness Committee. Thank you, God. Thank you. The Emergency Preparedness Committee. It's a task force. It's a task force in the county. I spent many years on that committee, by the way, although not recently, thank God, because we wouldn't have created that sign. Look out, get out, wildfire is coming. Yeah. Now, when you read that, it blew me away, because I thought, I'm going to be giving a talk about the metaphysical Trinity of which I am, which is our creative process, and everything I do with emotion it manifests. And the problem with it is some of the stuff that we read, like get out, stand by, get out, look out, wildfire's coming. What does that do for you? Stella and I, we had to evacuate once in one of the 7 fires last year. We had to, and no one's saying you shouldn't be prepared. Heck, we have a little case that has our necessary items in there and some clothes that we need to change into, and we put it in the car, put the dog and cat in the car, and we get the heck out of town. Well, so I'm not telling we shouldn't be prepared, but can you imagine We have how many millions of people come through Emerson, come through Oakhurst on the way to see Yosemite National Park? 2 to 4 million cars a year. 2 to 4 million. Even if just a small percentage of those people, let's just say 18,000 people, we have 18,000 creative beings who's connected to this life force that follows what we're saying. If 18,000 people are putting in mind that a wildfire is coming, what does that do? So we in this belief system, somehow we need to deal with that and work through it. And I have no idea, but I think we can impact that. But it's pretty serious. So we need to be very cognizant of what. I'm going to wind this down with and close with an idea. Zig Ziglar, who's a motivational speaker, told us one day, he said that this most powerful locomotive in the world, and I've got the block here, the most powerful locomotive in the world can be held motionless, can be prevented from doing its job by just a 6-inch block this size put in front of its eight-wheel drive lines. Just a block this size can stop and be held motionless just by this amount of a block 1 inch, a 1-inch wooden block, 1 inch. Think about that in closing. That we have this powerful, and yet that locomotive, what can it do? That locomotive at full steam ahead can go through a steel reinforced concrete wall that's 5 feet thick. Think about it. And yet a block, 1-inch block, can hold it back and stop it from doing its job. Well, put that as a metaphor for each of us in this room. That we have within ourselves that powerful energy. There's a creative life force. We call it the metaphysical trinity. Yeah, and we may call it treatment and all that. But we have that within us that responds to us. And how do we prevent it from operating? Because we're too lazy, some of us, not anyone here, of course, it's out there. We're too lazy to take ownership of who we are. We don't want to find out that we are this powerful person. We'd rather whine and complain about what's happening to us. And what we're doing, we're holding back this dynamic power that is in us. So what is our goal for this month? Let's remove that block. And what is the block doing? We have this power that's eternal. We have the power that can heal anything. This power that was there before time and it's continued to be there. This power that isn't relegated to fear and doubt. It can do anything from a dimension of all possibilities. And we're holding it back. And what are we holding it back with? We're holding it back with unawareness. We're holding it back with fear and doubt. And it's time for us to remove the 1-inch block. And say it with me loud and clear. And so we did it. We got it done.